Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the private server Everlasting. We are once again with our Scrapper, Silver Phoenix, who is marching quickly to level 39. And we are on the Devouring Earth story arc for Ginger Gates, which is the Terror Conspiracy. And the Devouring Earth are busting up a lab here in Steel Canyon, and we're going to stop them and look for clues. And so we have 3 technicians to save. They're probably going to try to turn these guys into Devouring Earth. We just learned in the last episode that the Hamadon is actually named after a man named Hamadon. It was his first name. Hamadon, I don't know. But Hamadon was a guy who was like a Green Party, you know, whatever you want to call it, like an Earth lover, like Earth Liberation Front type guy, and he went crazy and created a bacterium that would sort of, I guess, convert people into these creatures, and my guess is they converted him, and he turned him into the Hamadon, which is this really powerful devouring Earth creature. I thought it was a space alien, but apparently not. So it's kind of cool, and it's an interesting story, and we got 3 scientists to rescue, and devouring Earth to beat up. While I was off screen, I did some selling. I actually went, really interesting, I went to Wentworth's and I found, I had this thing, ceramic armor, I had like 6 of them, tried to sell them, and they were only selling for like 11. I'm like, are you kidding me? The contacts pay more than that. Why would anyone sell it for 11? I don't know. So I just went to my contact, Athena Curry, and in Steel Canyon, and she bought them from me. I also got rid of a bunch of recipes that I don't need, all the stuff that's below level 40 at this point. There's no reason to keep anything that was like a sleep or a hold duration or any of that, which we don't need. I just ditched all of that because I was getting near the recipe cap as well. So anyway, things are going well, and we're back to fighting Devouring Earth. So yeah, this is an interesting story arc, and as I mentioned last time, my guess is it's designed, this is level 38, right? So it's high 30s story arc. My guess is this was designed to lead you into the Hamadon raid, right? That to give you a reason to do that after defeating his servants and meeting his girlfriend and everything. You would, I guess, then go into the Hamadon raid. And so it's I'm going to be very interested to see how this ends because I don't really remember it. I mean, I sort of do, but not entirely. And so it'll be interesting to see how this ends, and to see how it tries to lead you into the next story, which would be the raid, right? Much the way the Clockwork storylines lead you into the what is it? The Positron Task Force, which is the Clockwork King. It seems like this is designed to lead you into the Hamadon raid. So they have some really good stories in this game. One of the reasons I try not to like blow my way through it is because I want to experience these stories. I think they're fun. The missions are often fun to do, interesting, quite enjoyable. And so one of the things I don't like about the Devouring Earth is they're so tall that like it's you have to really pull back to see what the heck is going on. Unlike with say Council, who's human size. Quartz, got them taken care of. Found a clue, but we're gonna have to beat this guy before we read it. Okay, and then we got some rubble. Alright, now we can read the clue. So, one of the technicians says they took all sorts of drugs, Rapronex, Progesterol, Concepta. These are probably made up. They're all fertility drugs. What do they want with those drugs? Well, they want to make more Devouring Earth, I'm sure. Baby devouring Earth. That's what they want, right? Okay, but before we leave, so there's the elevator, right? But before we switch to the new floor, I want to make sure that we've covered everything down here, because otherwise we could have to come back. You've seen me do that more than once. So let's just make sure that we've been in every nook and cranny. Because there could be a hostage in a place like this, right? This little room. You just never know. So just want to make sure that I've covered the whole thing. You've seen me plenty enough times be sure I've covered the whole thing and be wrong, right? And there's somebody in some little spot that I didn't notice, and I end up having to go 3 floors down to find them. So just want to make sure we haven't missed anybody. There's 2 technicians to save. Again, there could be up to 4 more levels. Lab and office maps can be up to 5 levels in size. And there's some DE. It was amazing to me how much different it is to play a controller than a scrapper. So much more vulnerable. There was this one moment where my friend went, like, just moved up into a spawn, just a spawn that was geared for the 2 of us, and started attacking, and I just wasn't quite ready. And so it took me just like maybe 1 second longer to get up there than normal. And so I hadn't applied any holds or knockdowns yet, and she got killed in that 1 second. She hit one of them, and all of them turned around and hit her, and she just face planted. I'm like, wow, that's fast, right? You know, because I get attacked by everybody in the spawn all the time as a scrapper. I don't face plant, right? And we never had a problem before or after that, because usually as she went in, I would target the lieutenant or one of the lieutenants in the spawn and hit him with a hold, and then immobilize the other people one by one, you know. And because I hadn't done that, there were, I think, 2 lieutenants, and they both shot at her along with all the minions, and it was enough to take her out. So yeah, you just had to play so differently when you're a controller or a corruptor or whatever. How did I miss every single one of them? That's annoying. Well, we're not going to miss any more with Focus G. Let's knock them all down. There we go. Yeah, and I'm just used to doing like so much damage and having criticals, which, you know, the controllers don't have. Controllers have something called overload or something. Not overload isn't the right word, but like if somebody's already mezzed and you lay a second type of mez on top of them, you get a bonus. It's like if you do an immobilization then do a hold on top of it, you'll do a little extra damage. Which doesn't really help that much when you're only doing, you know, 2 per tick. You do 3 per tick, but it's a little something, right? My character wasn't designed to do damage; it was designed to mitigate as a controller. So again, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to slot it, and I'm going to have a lot of work to do to figure that out. But it's fun, and I'm enjoying the difference and how wildly different that controller plays. I'm so used to playing tankers and scrappers and brutes that it's very different type of mentality, and I'm going to have to get used to it. And I did find myself multiple times thinking, man, if I was playing a scrapper, these guys would be dead already, you know. It's a much slower playstyle. Although, fortunately, because he's playing a corruptor, he does a lot of good damage, so it's not that slow. Okay. Take a little extra damage since we don't need it really. That's my, you know, my normal stack of inspirations. These 2 columns of luck. I want to point out, by the way, these are +2. They've been pretty consistently +2. There've been some +3s. Have we had any trouble? Has my health bar ever gone orange? Nope. Compare this to +1 and +0 Circle of Thorns. Yeah, Circle just absolutely has my number. I guess it's not just me, because somebody on the super group said into the super group chat, and I don't know if you guys saw it or not, something like, is it just me, or are the spirits really annoying in Circle of Thorns? And I'm kind of like, it's not just you. Yeah, and I think the combination of the debuffing and the damage mitigation, the question is, what damage do they mitigate? I know they mitigate smashing. I don't know what other damage they mitigate. I think, like, if you're fire, no problem, because I don't think they mitigate energy. They might mitigate negative energy, because they do negative energy. Not sure about that. Now, why'd I take that heal right there, just to free up a slot, because I'd like another endurance. I might need to start running with more endurance if I end up using Elude a lot. You'll notice I have not had to use Elude. We don't need that. I have not had to use Elude, so what does Elude do? It adds 45 defense. So all these things would go up by 44, something like that. All these things go up into the 70s. You'd have 75, 76 defense or something like that. It's awesome. It lasts for 3 minutes. It's got a recharge time of about 12 minutes on it now, because I have an Invention recharge enhancer on it. But the disadvantage of it, the drawback, is when it ends, all your endurance drops to 0 and you can't recover endurance for 10 seconds or 20 seconds. So that's trouble. And I believe what I used to do was just carry extra endurance, and when that crash happened, I would just suck down a couple of endurance and re-engage my toggles. It's not that hard to do. Alright, so we've got one scientist left. But I haven't... it loses a panic power. I use it when a single luck or 2 lucks isn't going to be enough. Right? 45% on Elude is equivalent to multiple lucks, right? Because the lucks only do 12% defense. So, that would be like more than 3 lucks, not quite 4. So it would be like taking down a whole column of these. And, it's, you know, so it's superior to that. And it's quite nice. But, you know, you have the crash, and then you can't use it again for about 12 minutes, the way I have it enhanced. So I don't want to waste it unless in case I need it. But, you know, fighting a boss, or like usually an elite boss, I'll go ahead and do it. You have to be careful, because you want the boss to be beaten before the 3 minutes runs out, or you're going to have trouble, right? Against an archvillain, you have to be very careful. Normally, against an archvillain, if I know I'm going up against an archvillain, I would carry a lot of luck. And then what you do is, the second it drops, you down 2 or 3 lucks, right, to cover you and protect you until the endurance recovery comes back. So, you know, like, as you see it drop, you know, it starts flashing, you know it's going to drop, you immediately go luck, luck, luck. It drops, your endurance crashes, and you hit the endurance, and you re-engage your toggles. And by the time the luck wears off, you're back to normal. And so that's normally the way I play with Elude, but I haven't needed it yet, because we haven't faced anything all that hard, except that one elite boss at the end of that one story arc right after I got Elude, and I don't remember if I used it then. Okay, so we've completed our mission. Let's head back out and we'll look at our clue. And our clue says... nothing. We didn't get a clue. Alright, any new clues. Alright, contact. So now we got a clue. She says, fertility drugs, Hamadan's letter to Tanya. I'm beginning to put this together. Silver Phoenix, we know that Hamadan's tried to create a progenitor before, a being that can produce more devouring earth creatures. He's always been thwarted in that attempt, but what if he's found another way? I believe Hamadan intends to make Tanya into a devouring earth matriarch, a breeder for new monsters. Remember, he referred to her as Terra. So, now, the last round of drug raids made me think the devouring earth aren't through with Tanya Tyler. I'd like you to go to the safe house and debrief her, and she's probably going to be attacked. Protect the safe house. Oh, what's going on over here? There's a burning building. We've done that already. Alright, so we're going to protect the safe house, and that's in Kings Row. Fortunately, the train station is right here. And there's the burning building. I am not going to divert to that right now, guys, because it takes a while, and I want to work on this story arc. So I guess I'll be a little non-heroic and ignore the burning building. It's much harder to do with super jump than it is to do with flight, because you can't. With flight and hover, you could just hover there and put out the fires. With super jump, you kind of can't, and so then it's a little harder to deal with. I don't think we need the holy shotgun shells. Okay, so we can remove these from here. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Just reorganizing my... oh, did I do the wrong thing? No, let's remove that from the tray. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't want temporary powers on this thing most of the time, because I only use them under very specific circumstances, and I don't want them polluting my tray. Yeah, that's another thing that's very strange to me with the controller, is he has targeted attack powers, debuffs, or whatever that he can throw on enemies in both his primary and secondary, so I've got a mix of primary and secondary down here in the main bar, which is very weird to me, right? Because as a tanker, as a scrapper, only one of your sets is attack and the other ones are just defenses, and you can put up here. I'm not going to have anything up here, I think, for him, for my controller. So, anyway. Alright. So, we have to rescue 4 guards. And Tanya's probably already been kidnapped, and we're going to have to go get her back. Because it doesn't say anything about rescuing Tanya. So she's probably already kidnapped, and we're going to have to go get her back. So you may be wondering, why did I switch and not follow that guy? I didn't follow him because these guys are over here. And I didn't want to go over there. We might need a loot here. Let's see. No, we probably won't. Let's see. Yeah, we won't, because there's only one guy left. Okay. Well, that's unusual. So they have 3 guys threatening a hostage. Usually it's 2. It's going to be a pretty large warehouse. This is going to be a bit of a long mission, but that's alright. Alright, let's head in here. Open with our AoE. And I missed every single one of them. That's just great. There's a patrol coming too, so I need to be quick about this, or I'm going to get gangbanged. Oh no, he turned around and walked away. Okay. Yeah, these guys +3 at +3 with the smashing resistance that a lot of them have. These guys are a bit tough. It's mostly tough on the endurance. They're not bothering me in terms of the health, really. Fortunately, the quartzes are vulnerable to smashing, so it helps a little bit. The Devouring Earth are a little odd in that way, that most of the time you'll have things that are resistant and not resistant. So, for example, a Circle of Thorns, you know, the spirits are smashing resistant and the guardians are not, but they're not usually smashing vulnerable when another group of the same mob is smashing resistant. It's a little odd that the Devouring Earth are like that. There are 2 guards left to save. Yeah, so these guys are heavily smashing resistant, right? So, if I kick them with Thunder Kick, This guy takes 45 damage, right? I kick the Quartz with Thunder Kick, he takes 105. Right, now what does Thunder Kick actually do? Thunder Kick actually does 92. Right, so this guy's 50% resistant and the Quartz is 50% vulnerable. Or close to that, right? Well, not 50%, maybe 25% vulnerable. So it's just really interesting that they set it up like that. The Bedrocks are also smashing resistance. The Black Roses are also smashing resistant, right? They're about a third, 67, doing about 2/3 damage to the Black Rose. And if we look at the Bedrock, he takes on, well, he's smashing vulnerable too. That's interesting. I thought they were resistant. And he's taking, well, he took 75 that time. So he's a little vulnerable. Oh, I must have hit the wrong attack. Yeah, so he's a little resistant, right? So the rock ones are about 10% resistant, maybe 20. But the Quartz is vulnerable, right? So you can easily smash them. Why is there one guy standing by himself? Maybe he was part of this patrol. And of course, the thing that's very hard, if you're not somebody with damage Mez defense, get out of here. If you're not somebody with Mez defense, the thing that's very tough about the Devouring Earth is how many of their minions and all of their lieutenants pretty much Mez. Alright, they'll do knockdown, they'll do knockback, they'll do sleep and stun and dizzy and all these things. Which, as a scrapper with Practice Brawler, we just go, I don't care. But like my controller, man, we were fighting a Psy villain, and she put him to sleep like 3 times in the same battle, and she put the Corruptor to sleep too. I think the time secondary and control, I think, I could be wrong about this, but I think it has some buff AoEs that like make you a little more resistant to that. So that is something I'm gonna have to look into and certainly try to employ for us, because we don't have like a tanker or a scrapper to take those Mez hits. Fighting a group like this would be very tough. Now, eventually, you can get an AoE hold, right, as a controller, and then theoretically you can open with that. And that's another thing that I normally wouldn't consider, obviously have to think about at all on a scrapper, is range, right? So one thing I'm toying with is actually getting a range buff on the AoE hold, right, so that you can stay out of the range of the enemy's attack, right? You make your attacks longer range than their longest range attack, and you open with an AoE hold, and then they can't do anything because they're held. Then you can move in and start doing your single target attacks and stuff, and they've been stopped from fighting back at you. Another thing to do, another reason to get increased range is if you get increased range on the Immobilize, right? Get an AoE Immobilize that locks them all in place, right? It's not stopping them from attacking you back, but if your range powers are longer than their range, the Immobilize works effectively as a hold because they can't shoot you back. So I'm going to have to really play around with that character and try some different combinations of enhancements and just see what works. And that's a character where I might try multiple builds. Right, where I have one build that's basically like a damagey build, and then another build that's like range and control. We'll just have to see. Whereas like with this character, I don't feel the need to do multiple builds. I'm perfectly happy with how she performs. She's kicking butt and taking names. I have to get rid of this Cairn. I can't remember what it does, but I know it's bad. So we're gonna get rid of it. No, the Cairn! Why can I not target this thing? What's going on here? Is like I'm clicking powers and they're not working. Okay, we got rid of that. That's what we need. Alright. There we go. Oh, he's purple to me, that's the problem. And we level. Level 39, that's going to make the rest of this mission really easy. So these guys were plus 2, 3, now they're plus 2. Now we have one last guard to save. How much further is there? Oh wow, we got a lot left of this warehouse. Yeah, one of the things I need to do in off-camera is get rid of that architect mission. I don't think I need it anymore. I've sufficiently proven to myself that plus 2 and plus 3 are the best for me in terms of just the speed with which you go through missions at this level range. And, you know, we'll reevaluate when I get into the 40s, perhaps, another cairn. What annoys me is there's no way to prevent them from doing it. Because I started out attacking him, and it's not an interruptible attack. So unlike, say, the Sky Raiders, where they're guys that create the engineers that create the force field generators, it's an interruptible attack. So you can interrupt them. That cairn summoning is not interruptible. So there's like, what I don't like about that, like, is that there's no tactical way that you could do anything to prevent it, right? Like, same thing with the fungus being summoned. My initial blow was a knockdown. He put it out anyway. Can't interrupt it. One of the things that drives me nuts about this game is like how many cool visual effects there are. I've got an idea for a really cool stone tanker, like fire and stone defense, and fire melee, like the volcano or something. That might be really cool. Or maybe even a sentinel. I don't know if you can do stone as a sentinel. Sentinels are range attack and defense, so like fire blasts. I obviously, the name the volcano is too simple and probably would be taken already, but you know, call him Mount Vesuvius or something. I don't know. Quartz. Gotta get this out before they kill me because it's debuffing me. Look at that. So that's a case where you could potentially throw on an elude and ignore the quartz. Although they might even hit you through a elude with that quartz. Yeah, so those little buffing, I don't know what you want to call it, pseudo-pets that just sit there, totems, whatever you want to call them, they're really annoying. And they're very dangerous if you ignore them. I remember the first time I encountered that, I think I was outside, outdoors. The first time I encountered it, I did not realize it was debuffing me. And I kept going in, fighting, and dying, and I was like, what the hell, why do I keep getting killed? And finally I realized, oh, that thing's debuffing me. Okay, so we got the boss here, and then there's other guys behind him. Stun him. One thing that's nice about a controller is I was able to actually put a hold on a boss because I stacked it, and I was able to overcome his mez defense. It's something that's almost impossible to do as a scrapper, but you can do it as a controller. Okay, the last two guys, it looks like. Yeah, and that boss gave me 19,000 experience and 25,000 influence. Wow. And we are done. Yeah, he gave 3 times as much influence. Are you kidding me? So he gave 19 times as much influence. Well, probably about 15 times as much influence as a minion. More than 25 times as much influence, almost 19 times as much experience, and he gave 3 times more experience and 4 times the amount of influence of just completing the whole mission. This is why people go in and fight like purple bosses, because a single purple boss is as much as a whole mission worth of white cons, right? Okay. But that's only if you're in a rush, which we're not, so. Alright, let's talk to her. And she says, time is of the essence, Silver Phoenix. We've got to get that woman back. So obviously she wasn't there. And the guard said we tried to stop them, Silver Phoenix, but there were just too many. They took Tanya Tyler. So we're going to have to go and save her. But before we do that, it's time to level up. And we'll go to our buddy Blue Steel. We haven't seen him for a while. Haven't leveled up with him for a while. And there's Blue Steel. Training up to level 39. Okay, so we can enhance defense on this power. 30 plus 45, we can get it to plus 60. We don't need any of this. We have 3 slots. I think I'm going to do Dragon's Tail and finish Eagle's Claw. And so then Eagle's Claw is going to get a 2 damage, I believe. Right? And Dragon's Tail recharges in 14 seconds. We could get it down to about 10. I think I'm going to put a recharger on Dragon's Tail. Again, so we have the damage mitigation. PBAOE damage. We're going to eventually put one of those on here, probably. We're not going to enhance for knockback. I wish you could enhance. I really, one of the things I hate about, one of my frustrations about the game is you can enhance the amount of knockback, but you can't increase the probability that it happens, right? And I wish you could increase the probability of the knockback, right? So if you look at, it's not selling any enhancements to me. If you look at the enhancement trainers, you'll see, let's see if I can show you guys. Oh, maybe it, oh, I bet, here, recipes. Workbench. Okay, I don't have them here. Let's go to a workbench. Let's just go ahead and go to Steel Canyon, and we'll go to the workbench, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oops, missed again. I'll show you what I'm talking about with the knockback. Steel Canyon South. And I gotta check my recipes here. I think I should have enough to get 2 damage and a recharge, but I'll show you what I mean about the knockback when we get to the workbench. And we got Wentworth's right here. This is why I always come here to do my inventing, because if I need some salvage, I can go run right over to Wentworth's. Level 40, I will probably add some to elude, but alright. So if we look at knockback, right, and we go ahead and we read the info, right, it doesn't tell you. Increase knockback distance, right? It doesn't increase the knockback probability. It increases the knockback distance. So, damage. We have 7 level 40 invention damage enhancements, right? What we need is 2. And we're going to be buffing the damage to almost 300 for Eagle's Claw, so that's awesome. So let's create 2. We'll go ahead and put those on here. Okay, so now Eagle's Claw does 291 damage per shot at a cost of 8 endurance, so that's a lot of damage per endurance. Dragon's Tail, we're going to do a recharge. And I have one, level 40. Great. There we go. So Dragon's Tail will now recharge in 10 seconds. So we're eventually going to want to add 3 slots here and 3 slots here. I think I'm going to triple slot elude next time, but we'll see. Then at 41, we're going to get the energy conservation power. There's like an energy management pool, prestige pool power, and we're going to go ahead and get that. One of the things I wanted to look at for badges, day jobs. I need to log out in Cimarron. Oh, in the university, I'm very close. So I'll get this badge the next time I log in. I hope you guys have enjoyed. You can see now how the picture is emerging of how fully enhanced set of powers looks for this character. You can see that we have our inherent fitness completely slotted. We have our defenses, other than elude, pretty much completely slotted. At 41, we're going to get whatever it is, conserved power, which is, I think, a toggle or whatever. Focused accuracy is another one in that set that'll increase our ability to hit, but it's a toggle and it drains endurance, so we're only going to turn it on, say, when we really need it. So it's the kind of thing where we might turn it on against a boss or against somebody that we're missing a lot. Instead of being, oh, we don't have focused chi, we can just turn that on. And then, and conserve power is, I think, a click power that will conserve our endurance. So then it's like we don't need maybe to even carry as many yellows or as many blues, because we're going to have those toggles to use instead. So it basically lets us do that. And then at level 40, we're going to have another row of inspirations as well. And that at that point, I may switch up how I'm doing this. We'll see. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll be back with another episode in the near future.